Okay, we're back. And after a debate with myself and learning actually a bit more about this mode, we had started this. We did the first 3 of Natsuhiko's scenes. And then I found out from a friend of mine, who was a part of the translation team, that we should be doing Natsuhiko's scenes last. But specifically, his unlockable scene last. That's the summation of everything in here. Apparently, this whole mode, Natsuhiko's scenes were not in the original version of this mode, so to speak. Because in the original version of the game, I believe these scenes were actually taking place from Natsuhiko's perspective. Yeah. If I could just directly quote, the original Xbox 360 PC version of Route Double, the new scenes in the Xtend episode were originally from Route D. So there was a certain part in Brain Cell, I think it was when we had our certain epiphany? I don't know if it's when we had the Blickwinkle moment, figuring out how to get out. Might have been around then? Yeah, because that was like 10 to 20 minutes to go. But apparently, that originally was another RAM sequence, just for everybody. Which, in a way, would explain the conclusion that we came to. Instead of just being handed the relevant memories. I imagine the original purpose of that was to, like, refine the full list of everyone's memories and get this reference the specific points that were brought up in that scene, referring to the pipes, the original escape plan, and whatnot, which is what led to that final epiphany. Damn. Apologies. That was cut out because that was really drove down the pacing. Which I will admit I probably would have agreed with if that had actually taken place. So yeah, we were given so these scenes were removed and packaged as this Xtend episode. Obviously with the new context of Blickwinkle having one last look through everyone's memories, piece together any pieces that we missed. And that's where we are. It appears that these are, in fact, scenes that we have seen before if we had done a RAM dive before. And even in Yuri's case, we have seen these scenes just from the normal point of view of reading Yuri's memories. We've pretty much read everyone's memories here. So, the matter of fact is, you should be processing what we're actually doing here. The other thing I'm told is that let's see. These are in fact repeats from Route D. So the ones marked with keys are pretty much repeats, but with a new sympathy prompt. with slight changes. So we should be going through the keys segments and unlocking new scenes, which are completely new. So I guess to start with this, let's handle Ukita with only one key. Now, Ukita then gained a comrade in Watase. This is Ukita joining Q and recruiting Watase. Together they started concocting their plan. What they most hated were Rokumi City and Labo. They planned to deal a fatal blow to them by saving the test subjects. It was an extremely dangerous plan, but with Watase's help it looked like it might just work. The structure of the plan was as follows. First, Ukita would detonate incendiary explosives inside Labo, and take that chance to save the test subjects with Watase and his comrades. Ukita decided he'd use an ultrasonic wave detonator to detonate the bombs while watching the explosions from the monitors in the surveillance room. Furthermore, the PA wasn't limited to facility-wide broadcasts, but could also selectively choose which areas to broadcast to. I actually skipped this. Oh. But this is the exact same scene. Ultrasonic waves could not be heard by the human ear, so he didn't have to worry about someone realizing what was going on. He also prepared various kinds of sound data to cause the detonations, for both timed and instant explosions. By loading the data into his PDA, Ukita could detonate the bombs in the facility whenever he wanted. The plan then proceeded smoothly. Then one day, a year later, Ukita was casually playing a game of chess in the surveillance room with a security guard.
チェックメイトか。序盤の駒損が後を引いたな。もう一戦行くかい。いや、完食とはいえ、さすがにそろそろ戻らなければまずい。再戦はまた今度にしよう。じゃあまた来るときは、ぜひコーヒーの差し入れを頼むよ。うまいって仲間内でも評判でね。それはよかった。僕の取り柄といえばそれだけだからね。
These games and conversations were also a part of his plan. Ukita then left the surveillance room, bumped into Miyoko, and happened to come across Dr. Tenkawa.
Ukita-san, あなたこんなところで一体何をしているの?
Tenkawa博士。
Ukita felt surprised, but he managed to compose himself and replied with a normal look on his face.
何? 知り合いになった警備員と油を売ってただけですよ。何分すっかり暇な時間が増えましたので。
そう。
とはいえ少し時間を潰しすぎました。そろそろ仕事に戻りますよ。それでは。
Ukita then quickly tried to leave. However,
待って、浮田さん。
え？
昨日保安六課から質問を受けたの。あなたをなぜチームから外したのか。
Security Sector 6. He wasn't familiar with the name, but it was most likely a division of Rokumi City's security department.
それであなたは何？
何も。ただ適正能力ともに不適合のためチームから外れてもらった。
What's that mean? Why did the professor lie for me? Possible. Could it be that deep down she has her misgivings about the current state of Labo? Ukita rose one more question to Dr. Tenkawa in order to confirm that.
では博士、あの時は答えてもらえませんでしたが、今度は答えていただけませんか。もし夏彦君の能力が発現したとしたら、あなたはどうするおつもりなのか。
Dr. Tenkawa grew quiet, much like she had that one day. Then she spoke up in a faint voice.
幽閉するわ。
あなたはそれでも母親ですか？
Dr. Tenkawa glared at Ukita when she heard that question and raised her voice.
それでも母親かですって。あなたに何がわかるのよ。私は息子を愛してる。世界中の誰よりかけがえのない存在だわ。でもあの子がこれからの人生を平穏に生きていくためには、6名士もラボも私の研究も全て必要なことなのよ。だから私は
All required, for his sake, despite Labo having gone far off the rails by now. Professor bit her lip resentfully when she said that, almost as if she was trying to convince herself it was true. Would they be using Natsuhiko as a sort of hostage against her? If it were true, then Ukita's plan would most likely end up saving Dr. Tenkawa as well. No, that's what Ukita hoped for.
すみません。妙な質問を繰り返して。
Ooh. Just curious to see.
礼を言い遅れましたが、かばってくださったことは感謝してます。考え方は違っても、やはりあなたは立派な人だ。
浮田さん。
僕はね、天下博士。もし叶うならば、あなたとまた一緒に仕事がしたかったですよ。
This is interesting, because it's what we, a neutral party, feel towards Ukita. Saying that, he felt just a brief twinge of hesitation. Perhaps I would have been happier being in the dark. Could have simply devoted myself to researching the unknown alongside Dr. Tenkawa. But Ukita had learned the truth about Labo. Gritted his teeth as he continued speaking to Dr. Tenkawa.
博士、どうか両親だけは忘れないでください。科学者としてのではなく、人間としての。
言われずとも分かってるわ。
Feeling a bit relieved by those words, Ukita left her. Professor, I hope that you'll always act in accordance with that sentiment. But an unexpected change happened on his way home that day. Oh, time to... You didn't notice suspiciously cars following him. Had those cars been tailing me this whole time? He kept on sticking to his tail even after he'd slowed down. Could be from that Sector Security 6 thing the professor spoke of. Let's just move along, then. It was both a warning for Natsuhiko and an admonition for himself. If his plan failed, then not only would Labo and Rokumi City's wrongdoings remain in the darkness, but Natsuhiko would also likely be incarcerated. He must do whatever it takes to make the plan succeed. Ukita swore that. And Q's diversionary tactics continued over the next few days. Thanks to that, all surveillance on Ukita finally dropped. However, his heart ached when he heard that the diversion tactics involved causing severe property damage, such as arsons and the bombing of the PRC. This is all really necessary for the success of the plan. Though he was conflicted, he knew that the die had already been cast. And thus, September 15th, one day before the plan was to be carried out, an unexpected accident occurred. Natsuhiko and his friends had predicted Q's terrorist plot.
さっき一人そのテロリストを捕まえました。
Ukita shuddered when he heard Natsuhiko say that. I never expected some of the people I'm trying to help would pose an obstacle to the plan. Ukita hid how shaken up he felt as he promised Natsuhiko and his friends that he'd ensure Labo's security was beefed up. Then left for the time being. It's bad, this is very bad. If I don't stop them, the plan will... Ukita called Watase on his PDA as he drove his car. Get up, kids. Ukita explained the circumstances to Watase, who then replied in a hard voice.
燃えないだろう。そこまではするな。脅しをかけ縛り上げればいい。頼むよ隊長さん。お互い気が進まない話だが、これも彼らのためなんだ。
Ukita then hung up. And alas. Ah, new memory appeared. Network. Huh, this feels familiar. This is entirely new. I do want to see what the Senses Sympathy would be if we do answer 2. Nothing changed. Those words Ukita left. You could tell Dr. Tenkawa was still looking at him, but he ignored her. If possible, huh? It makes sense that Senses Sympathy would unlock a memory of them working together in the past. But in the end, it's just a dream that will never come true. Ukita had learned the truth about Labo. Gone too far to turn back now, Professor. This was how the scene originally played out. Alas, a network. Back when Ukita was still working as the observer for Special Observation Target NA2, came across Dr. Tenkawa by pure coincidence in the reference room on one day between shifts. As they took a break, they discussed topics that weren't directly related to their work.
浮田さん、近頃は年々コミュニケーターの出生率が上がっているけど、その理由についてどう思う？
It was a sudden question, so Ukita thought it over for a bit before answering.
そうですね。やはり抵抗進化説的に考えると、コミュニケーターが従来の人間よりも社会的生物として優れているから増えているのではないでしょうか。
つまりコミュニケーターはこの複雑化した社会に適応できるように生まれた人類の進化系ということね。
そうです。これまで人間は社会が複雑化していくに従い、さまざまなコミュニケーション手段を生み出してきました。しかし近年、社会は複雑化し、混迷を極めています。そんな世界にもたらされた BC という能力。それは新たな社会に適応できるよう神が人に与えた力なのではないかと。
あら、浮田さん意外にロマンチックなのね。
Ukita, feeling like she now saw him as a bit childish, quickly grew embarrassed.
定番の考えですが。
確かによく挙げられる説ね。でも私の意見は違うわ。
と言いますと？
まず BC 粒子のエネルギー量が高い環境下に人間を置くと IGF2R 遺伝子が変異すると言われているわよね。
ええ、九段の WX 粒子による変異ですね。
そう。でもこれは WX 粒子だけではなく M 粒子でも起こりうると思うの。
え？
つまりコミュニケーターが BC を使い、その地域の BC 粒子エネルギー量が高まり、そしてそれがその地域の住人の遺伝子にわずかながら干渉し、遺伝子変異を発生させる。
Energy randomly increases, yeah.
とりわけ胎児などには影響が大きいでしょうね。
Irradiate your baby by thinking hard.
つまりコミュニケーターが BC を使えば使うほど新たなコミュニケーターは増えていくのよ。
It's shockingly effective.
その流れの黎明期に我々はいるのではないかしら。
Which means that in theory, this would spiral out of control. Or rather, snowball.
つまり進化によってコミュニケーターが発生するのではなく、自ら起こしている遺伝子変異現象だということですね。
The more communicators that appear, the more likely that newborns would be affected by the genetic mutations, and that increases exponentially.
そうよ。というのも、2014年以降、新生児にコミュニケーターが増えているということ。
I wonder, in universe, what the scale of that expansion, of that growth is.
そして、コミュニケーターの出生率が徐々に上がっていること。この2点を照らし合わせると、そんな答えもあり得るかなと思うの。
なるほど。そちらの方が我々にはしっくりきますね。何しろコミュニケーターイコール進化した人類説にはいろいろと突飛な説もくっついてきますから。こういう意見もあるようです。いわくコミュニケーターは進化した人間ではない、もともと太古の時代に存在したいわば古い人類だ。
They're the Lemurians.
その旧人類は BC を用いて人々の意思統一を図り強固な社会を築いた。しかし BC を用いすぎたため社会全体で人々の意識が確一化し個人の自我は消えた。
They sank beneath the
その
waves.
結果天災などの突発的事態に対応できず一気に滅亡した。
なんだか本当に突飛ね。
僕もそう思いますが、もっともな感じもします。他人の気持ちが分かりすぎるというのも考えものではないですか。
まあね。でもその説と私の説を合わせると、現在コミュニケーターは加速度的に増えている。そしてコミュニケーターが増え BC を使いすぎると人類の意識は確一化し滅びやすくなる。
Oh. Sorry, that just got serious for a moment. I was imagining in the back of my mind the in-universe equivalent. What? Imagining in the back of my mind the ridiculous shit that the in-universe equivalent of Alex Jones would be spewing. And I already feel dirty just for dropping that name. I apologize. Yeah, constantly growing, and if we hit a wall, we're just gonna get wiped out again due to homogeneity.
したがってこのままいくと人類の未来は危険ということになるのかしら。
That is concerning.
そういうことになりますね。
Silence reigned between them for a moment. Dr. Tenkawa soon broke out into a smile and continued.
冗談よ。そうすぐに滅びるものではないと思うわ。
Fair.
ですよね。
仮に人類が滅びの運命なんてものに向かっていたとしても、我々がその回避手段を必ず見つけ出す。
They're taking over the world, brainwashing it, turning the frogs gay. Okay, never. No, stop. Don't even. Not worth it. Even mentioning him in any breath is not worth it. It's more airtime than he deserves. He just. Nope. You don't deal with threats like that by mocking it, taking the piss out of it. You no sell it. Bad reaction is still a reaction, so give it no reaction.
そう考えると、この誰にも語れない地味な仕事もやりがいが出てこない？
We're here to prevent humanity's extinction.
そうですね。そう思いますよ。
Enthusiasm. Kita then returned her smile. Times like this in between their shifts of hard work felt very pleasant to him. Only a week later, Kita discovered Leibo's secret and split away from Dr. Tenkawa. As a result, there was a part of each other's minds that they'd never learn about. They couldn't use BC. They'd only just talked to each other a bit more. Could have reached some level of understanding. If only. That should be Ukita sorted. At this point, we'll review the tips we got. Orthogenesis. The theory that each species had an intrinsic drive to evolve towards a set direction. Once that direction is set, the species or organs transform in a unilinear fashion towards that direction. Essential examples given as evidence for this intrinsic drive are the seemingly impractical sizes of the mammoth's teeth and the Irish elk's horns. However, these traits could just as well be used to support the theory of natural selection. Though they may seem impractical now, the animals lived in the Ice Age. Those adaptations were suited for the environment at the time. Alternatively, it could also be evidence of the Fisherian runaway theory, in that the exaggerated traits were meant to attract mates. Today, there are many varying explanations for the appearance of these traits, and thus, support for orthogenesis is becoming scarce. Orthogenesis is becoming scarce. Intrinsic drive to evolve towards a set direction. Could be influenced by the environment. where woolly mammoth needs strong teeth, so we're going to evolve strong teeth. And then, if I'm understanding this correctly, we start out by evolving strong teeth, because we need strong teeth to survive here. And then we evolve the shit out of strong teeth until we have massive fucking teeth. Mega chompers. Because we're inclined to, evolve strong teeth. We're inclined to use strong teeth, so we'll just slide that evolution slider up to 100. And max it out. And again, we also have the Fisharian runaway theory, where we slide the slider up to 100 to take this trait of survival and say, I have the biggest one, I'm the biggest male here, procreate with me. Read. Why did I get unnecessarily gruff there? Anyways, Keiji Ukita. Natsuhiko's neighbor, a junior fellow at Labo. He's like in his 20s, but he looks like he's in his 50s. Pretty sure he's in his 20s, or 30s at least, but he looks like, yeah, he looks like he's in his 50s. Natsuhiko's neighbor, a junior fellow at Labo. He dedicated himself wholeheartedly to research for research's sake at Labo, a facility known worldwide for its discovery of useful applications of science. However, after he met Miyoko Tenkawa and came into contact with her way of thinking, he began to think of what he personally wanted to accomplish with science and what he could do. Practical implementations of BC insulators used in Labo and Rokume Academy are largely due to his research. He hates injustice by nature, and once he's made up his mind on a goal, he obstinately works hard to reach it. As a result, it's easy to see how, once he learned of Labo's dark side of human experimentation, he accepted Q's invitation and became a terrorist overnight. He drafted up the basic plan for the Labo terrorist attack, and under Q's instruction, he got Watase on board and set the plan in action. However, his plan was derailed when Natsuhiko erased Watase's memory via Senses Sympathy. Now that he has properly atoned for his crime, he spends his days cooperating with Miyoko and the others to create a transparent BC research facility. One that doesn't perform industrial espionage with BC, for the sake of making money. Okay, what else can we do? Let's do Salyu, shall we? Now this is the one where... yeah, we find out about Salyu's mother. Also, a bit of irony that this book that Salyu reads in here is kinda... bit of foreshadowing to the self that gets created here. The Blickwinkle. A collection of memories experienced throughout the game. Through BC. It's essentially what happens through BC-related science shenanigans. Oh wait, hold on. We got a self here. I was just about to skip ahead, but... let's set ourselves high. As the infant connects its accumulated memories and uses them to further nurture its own self. But does this effect only apply to the brains of living beings? As you and I both know, no matter how much data you store on a high-capacity disk, the disk does not spontaneously form a self. Why is such an ordinary occurrence in nature impossible for human hands to recreate? The novel's content was philosophical, so it was far detached from the type of adventure stories that Salyu liked. She felt a little bad, since Dr. Tenkawa had recommended that novel, but Salyu was more fond of thrilling stories. Like the novel the professor first gave me. I lost track of how many times I read that one. Guess I'll ask the professor for more novels by that author. That's how you thought that. The door finally opened again after weeks of being shut. In walked the professor.
ゆい、出なさい。
The lights in the sky are stars. Memory of when Salyu was 9 years old. She finds a deep interest in moving stars and the many stories revolving around them. It was a memory of when Salyu was 9 years old. There had been no change in her lifestyle. Aside from the knowledge she had acquired from the memory transfer experiments, her life stayed the same day after day. Salyu's favorite part of those days was the time she spent passing through the underground garden. One day, Salyu and the professor looked up at the sky side by side. Each test subject was given time to walk around freely inside Area 0. There's something that I'm just remembering now. That I'm pretty sure when we were talking about the other test subject, it was mentioned that she was the other test subject, who we thought was Subject N, was confined here from birth. Just a fact that just dawned on me just now. The other test subject was supposedly confined here from birth. And we thought that was Subject N. But I just realized that was what we thought Subject N was, but that turned out to be Salyu. Wow. Salyu wasn't allowed to meet with the other test subjects, but one of her few joys was Dr. Tenkawa leading her out to the underground park. Naturally, the sky they were looking at wasn't the real sky. It's a sort of planetarium projected onto the ceiling and walls. Though the image changed in accordance with the time and season, it was still nothing more than a fake sky. But still, Salyu never tired of looking at it.
ゆい、面白い？
面白い。空は時とともに移ろい、星は季節によって変化していく。実に興味深い。
さあ、それならよかったわ。
ところで博士、また星の話をしてほしい。
え、今日も？
星の話や星座にまつわる神話は好奇心が刺激される。
There.
そう。それじゃあね。
The professor pointed at the sky. She pointed at 3 noticeably bright stars. Oh, I know what we're talking about.
あれは夏の大三角形。3つのアルファ星によって描かれるアスタリズム。
Yep. The summer trial
3
asterism.
つの星の名前はそれぞれこと座のベガ、鷲座のアルタイル、白鳥座のデネブ。日本で
Vega,
は
Altair,
ベガとアルタイル
and
は
Deneb.
特別な星として認識されているわ。
特別な星？
七夕の伝説というものがあるのよ。
Ah, little Tanaba.
伝説。
That word fascinated Salyu's mind. A story created by man, the culmination of human imagination. That was what Salyu truly desired.
ベガは織姫、アルタイルは彦星と名付けられ擬人化されているの。織姫と彦星との間には天の川があり、1年に1度しか会えない。愛する2人が本人の意思とは関係なく引き裂かれる悲劇の伝説として伝えられているのよ。
なるほど。勉強になる。でも、なぜ？なぜ2人は1年に1度しか会えないの？
どうしてだったかしら。ごめんなさい。専門以外は私もそんなに詳しくないの。
残念。
Salyu thumped her shoulders and looked back up at the sky. Before her eyes flickered an infinite number of stars. According to the professor, the world they were on was another spherical heavenly body like those stars. It's something that I know, but I can't believe it. Are there other worlds in the vastness of space beyond that dome? Are there other beings like humans living there? The same way that we live on Earth? Is that possible?
博士、宇宙に飛び出して星にたどり着いた人間はいるの？
フィクションではたくさんあるけれど、事実としては数度きりよ。1969年、アポロ11号が月に到達したわ。月以外の星にはまだたどり着いていないわね。
ではどんなものでもいい。それに関する書物を。
ユイは本当に星が好きなのね。わかったわ。集められるだけ集めてくる。
感謝する。
さて、そろそろ終わりにしましょう。消灯時間も近づいてきたし。
Salyu was taken back to her room hand in hand with Dr. Tenkawa. The light of the stars twinkled in her heart until she fell asleep. Next day, a pile of books was brought to Salyu's room. The pile pretty much consisted only of scientific textbooks related to planets and stars. Salyu finished reading the dozens of books in just 3 days. She found the materials relating to the Apollo missions to be surprisingly boring. The surface of the moon is bleak, yet more lonely than this room. A world without warmth, just cold rocks and sand. What impressed Salyu more was fiction.
あら？
For those 3 days, Dr. Tenkawa came to Salyu's room for the first time in a while and spoke up in surprise. She took notice of the books Salyu had been reading.
ユイ、それ気に入ったの？
この本は実に面白い。もう3回も読み直してしまった。
Salyu held up a juvenile sci-fi book. The story of a tomboy who dreamed of adventure and flew off into space. Captain Spaceboy! There she met the only friend to whom she could open her heart. Oh. The story of a nearly miraculous bond born in a far corner of this wide universe.
読んでて胸が締め付けられた。こんな経験は初めて。
意外ね。学術書だけでは味気ないと思って戯れに入れたんだけど。
博士、こういう本をもっと持ってきてほしい。アポロ計画とかの本はもういらない。
わかったわ。SF 小説がいいのね。
SF？
サイエンスフィクションよ。でもそれ作り事よ。
いい。虚構でも。
Sally said just that and returned her gaze to the book in her hands. And that book was everything that Salyu had dreamed of. Let kids dream of adventure. But if I'm stuck in here, I can go anywhere on an adventure if I take a look inside a book. Just take a look. It's in a book. Reading rainbow. I can fly to the shining stars in the night sky. Was that a reference there? Tomorrow, the professor should be back with a bunch of books. That thought excited her. What sort of adventures awaited her tomorrow? Oh, okay, that was adorable. The end of the road. Looks like there's a shit ton of keys in here. So this is her first day in Rokame City. She received an informative lecture on the usage of arms and various points of caution relating to her new life and her first days there. So this is after the traffic accident, first days at school, first night at the Tenkawa house. Salyu sank into paranoia for a second before suddenly realizing something important. This girl seemed to be that friend of Natsuhiko's that the professor mentioned. Don't know what the answer is here. Natsuhiko himself was nearby. In that case, Salyu thought it'd be best for her to make friends with them. When Salyu agreed to be their friend, Mashiro jumped for joy. Is gonna be her reaction to that? Okay, yeah. Actually, it's a rather beautiful nickname. Salyu was pronounced like salute, which was French for hi. Salutation, the beginning of communication. It's like an encouraging boost to my perseverance. Salyu nodded honestly to that suggestion.
確かに可愛い名前。それに意味深い。サリューとはフランス語でヤーという意味。挨拶の言葉、すなわちコミュニケーションの始まり。私の頑張りを後押ししてくれそう。
頑張りってコミュニケーションを取ることに対して？
そう。私はあなたたちと仲良くしたいと思っている。正直そういうのはとても苦手だけど。
何言ってんの？ちゃんと話せてるじゃん。
I don't remember if she was this forthcoming when we first actually met her.
そう。
そうだよ。ねえ夏彦。
まあそうだな。
Possibly. I remember that reaction. Salyu secretly rejoiced at their words. Perfect first contact. Already friends with these two. Am I a nuisance, she wonders? The thought saddened her. That feels like the positive reaction. The happiness she had finally gained had suddenly withered. In desperate effort to open her heart to Natsuhiko even a little, she even tried talking to him about her role, but...
私はあなたを守るためにここへ来たというのに。
僕を守る?
As she looked at the confused Natsuhiko, Salyu thought to herself, "Have I not explained sufficiently? Maybe I need to give more details."
つまり私はあなたを守るのが役目。いやいややっているのではなく欲求もある。
なんで？
わからない。なんとなく。
なんとなくか。
でも守りたいというのは本当。
そうか。ありがとう。
Natsuhiko laughed dryly. It confused Salyu. Like I said anything funny.
何にしても女の子に守られるほどやわじゃないよ。それじゃあそろそろ戻ろうか。
Despite Salyu's sincere efforts to talk to him, Natsuhiko's reaction was unclear. Salyu had a hard time understanding anything that was on his mind. Natsuhiko fell silent at Salyu's words for a moment before timidly speaking up.
さ、サリュ。
Natsuhiko apologizing. After Salyu tells them about arms. Friendship was an option.
何？
悪かったな。今まで態度悪く接しててさ。
When Salyu nodded awkwardly, Mashiro spoke up beside her.
いい感じだね。誤解も解けて、こいつは新たな友情の始まりだね。
So far, Ukita's choice was the most thought-provoking of the Senses Sympathy choices we've had.
そういうことを言うなよ。台無しだよ。
Then again, we haven't even done 5 yet. Despite what was said, Salyu was deeply moved by one of the words Mashiro had said.
友情。素敵な言葉。夏彦と真白に問う。私たちは友達？
まあ。
当たり前だよ、サリュー。最初に会った時にもそう言ったでしょ。
Doki. Salyu felt her heart pound. She was happy to hear Mashiro's straightforward reply. I've learned something. The key to good communication might be honesty. It's true. That's a lot of food. Friendship was an option.
素晴らしい。
The food was very delicious, but above all else, it was Mashiro's consideration that delighted Salyu.
ありがとう、真白。こんなに豪勢な料理を作ってくれて。
いや、お気になさらず。私、こういうの好きなんだよ。それにやっぱ美味しい料理は人との距離を近くするからさ。
同感。
Salyu and Mashiro smiled back at each other. Odd, I feel kind of relaxed when I'm with Mashiro. She's never felt that way with anyone else besides Dr. Tenkawa. When she tried to think of why she felt that way with Mashiro too, Salyu quickly found the reason. I know. It's because Mashiro's gentle and she's not two-faced.
真白私
Oh.
真白が好き
Oh my, wow. That's adorable.
そりゃ告白っすか。
素直に感情を表現してみた
Oh.
いけなかった
いやいや、いけなくないよ。私もサリュが好きだよ。
Cried, denoting an amicable emotion. Sally thought to herself as she heard that. Alice's judgment largely matches Mashiro's words. Everything she says seems to be genuine. Sally placed her utmost trust in Alice. And going by Alice's judgment, Sally thought that she could place unconditional trust in Mashiro as well. Oh.
今日はみんないや私も
もう夏彦には頼ら。
おい
真白の言葉
な、そんなんじゃ。
日本に来て夏やっぱり他人と触れ合う
他人と触れ合うべきではな。確かに他人の気持ち、僕やサリュに限って
私だけ
そうだよ。だけど他人の心が分からなくても、それはきっとそう思わなきゃ。
落ち着いて
ああ。ああ、もう。
夏彦に
まったくど
それじゃいいかい。
了解
行こう。
Summer Triangle showed them high up in the night sky as if to guide them. I don't remember this scene before. Well, actually, I've seen this once before, but I forgot to unpause the recording. Those three lights seem to symbolize the three of them. No, perhaps I haven't yet joined those stars. There's one other friend living in the minds of Natsuhiko and Mashiro. The girl who died 9 years ago, Yuri Kotono. For some reason, whenever she thought of that girl, even Sally felt nostalgic and heartbroken. It's too late now, but I wish I knew more about her. Because the more I learn about Natsuhiko and Mashiro, the more my affection for them grows. I guess I'll ask them after this incident's over. She would ask them about their memories of the friends she'd never meet. Now, that did trigger a short scene after that. Something to the extent of, as her feelings for Natsuhiko, Mashiro, and Yuri grew, a new memory resurfaced. And then these two memories were unlocked. The terminal experiment. And to live again. Let's just go in order, shall we? Salyu's perspective of Mashiro revealing she can use empathy. It's a memory of when Mashiro admitted she was an empath in the ruined hospital. Mashiro seemed helpless since nobody she talked to would believe her about the terrorist. When she asked if Natsuhiko and Salyu believed her, Salyu answered thusly.
私も信じる真白は嘘をついていないから
分かってくれる？
実はさっきからアリスを真白の顔にフォーカスしていた怯えや懇願の反応はあったけどそれ以外の反応はなかったならば信じるに足る
そうか、サルにとってはそれがエンパシーみたいなもんなんだね。
Wasn't that great? Salyu answered to that effect. Even if it wasn't at the level where Alice could read minds. didn't change the fact that Alice was the sole mediator Salyu had between herself and other people. In Salyu's eyes, her surroundings were like a completely separate world on the other side of a monitor. A monitor so horribly blurry that she could not make out other people's facial expressions. A monitor whose speakers were broken in a way that caused all sounds to seem flat. Salyu was left alone in that world obscured by darkness, and Alice was her precious light illuminating her route. For example, an analysis of Mashiro revealed that she often harbored the feelings of fun, joy, confusion, upliftment, and fear. An analysis of Natsuhiko revealed he harbored the feelings of peace, apathy, and vigilance, discomfort, and affection. She had no way of verifying the validity of those analyses, but it was probably meaningful for her to believe in them. As long as she believed, she could feel relief, even in the darkness. But something bothers me a little. Unlike Natsuhiko, Mashiro appears to be simple and pure, but according to Alice's analysis... Say that 3 times fast. Alice's analysis. Mashiro should be harboring some fairly complex emotions as well. Is that true? That question in mind, Salyu brought it up with Mashiro after they had left the ruined hospital.
Mashiro, あなたは今どんな気持ち？
2人が私の話を信じてくれて心強い気分かな。ようやくほっと一安心できたっていうかさ。
Alice reacted to Mashiro's words. That was a cry that signified relief.
私も安堵した。
何が？
マシロが本当に正直で。
Salyu thought to herself as she watched Mashiro look at her in confusion. If Alice was the light illuminating her route, then Mashiro was her guide. Perhaps thanks to Alice and Mashiro, Salyu was able to proceed in this world little by little.
マシロ、一つお願いがある。できればこれからもずっと友達でいて。
Aw.
そりゃもちろんだよ。
Salyu smiled back at Mashiro in response to those words. Oh, wholesome. Salyu, you're so wholesome. And a conversation in the karaoke box. It was the night of September 14th, memory of when Natsuhiko, Mashiro, and Salyu stayed overnight at a karaoke box. Right as she fell asleep, Salyu heard something and woke up. She looked around. She couldn't find Natsuhiko.
夏彦、
Oh, phone call? No answer.
どこに行ったのだろう。
After she muttered that, she heard a voice right beside her.
多分電話をかけに行ったんだよ。
It was Mashiro. Salyu thought she was asleep, but it appeared that wasn't the case.
電話？誰に？
有利に。夏彦が夜家を開けることなんてめったにないからさ。そういう時は有利を心配して電話をかけるんだよ。
いないのに？
いないのに。でも電話越しの声は聞こえるんだね。
そう。
Salyu fell silent after saying that. She rarely got the opportunity to talk with Mashiro alone. So she decided to take advantage of the situation and ask her some questions.
マシロ、
何？
ユーリってどんな子だったの？
Mashiro thought for a little bit before answering.
可愛くて、すごく優しくて、私の憧れの女の子だったよ。
夏彦にとっては？
夏彦にとってはちょっと違ってたかな。憧れっていうより守ってあげたい女の子だったみたい。でも守れなかったからさ。その事実を受け入れられなかった夏彦は優里が生きている時のまま自分の時間を止めちゃったんだね。
Mashiro's use of roundabout expressions was hard for Salyu to understand, but she caught the gist of what she meant.
夏彦は今でもユーリが好きなのね。
そうだね。
マシロもユーリが今も好きなの？
大好きだよ、もちろん。 夏彦の好きとは違うけどね。サリュにはまだ早いかな。
そうでもない。多分。
Probably. Maybe.
ってまさかサリュも夏彦のことが好きだとか。
Oh, busted.
うん。博士と真白の次に好き。
Oh.
そう。
Alice cried a voice that signified relief. Oh.
真白は今安堵し
Nah.
なぜ？
Oh. Busted. Busted.
参ったな。アリスにはお見通しなんだね。
Alice sees all. Stare into my eyes.
その私ね、自分で言うのもなんだけど、こう見えて結構嫉妬深いんだよ。永遠のライバルがいるのに、もう一人手強そうなのが増えると思うとちょっと焦っちゃったのさ。
ごめん、わからない。
サリュにはやっぱりまだ早かったかな。
そうみたい。
That was the first time Salyu saw an inconsistency in Mashiro's behavior.
真白も時には謎なのね。
人は謎の塊だよ。
Miserable little piles of secrets.
でもね、サリュ、だから人と触れ合うのは楽しいんだよ。
But enough talk. Have at you.
謎を解く楽しさ。
謎は決して解けないってことを知る楽しさもあるかな。
After Mashiro said that, they heard footsteps from outside the room.
夏彦が帰ってきたみたい。
やばい、寝たふりしよう。
どうして？
恥ずかしいからだよ。いいから寝なさい。
Plop. Salyu shut her eyes as told. Just this once, Mashiro's behavior was unintelligible from start to finish. Salyu thought to herself as she listened to Natsuhiko enter the room and sit on the sofa. Secrets that must never be found out. Looks like even Mashiro has some of her own. If everyone has these unsolvable secrets, it's actually a relief. Because it would mean I'm not alone. It would mean everyone else has similar worries. With that thought, she fell asleep once more. Oh. Again, another wholesome interaction. We get, Mashiro obviously has feelings for Natsuhiko. I think the saddest line in there was one eternal rival. Which makes me wonder if she has feelings for Natsuhiko, but feels like she can never compete. She could never compete with Yuri. And so she's just here to support Natsuhiko through all of it, no matter what. Because she does care about him. Knowing that he might not ever return those feelings while he's still frozen in time and seeing Yuri. Seeing Yuri's phantom, that is. I guess what I'm saying is Mashiro Toba deserves a hug. And so does Salyu, because Salyu is good. Nickname: Louise Yui Sannomiya, nicknamed Salyu. A half-Japanese, half-French girl born to Alice and Flam and Aishi Azumi. Her godparent is Miyoko Tenkawa. For as long as she could remember, she had been treated as a sort of brain backup for Subject N, becoming inundated with extensive knowledge from specialists in all sorts of fields. Her brain was damaged as a result. She lost the ability to deduce someone's intentions based on their facial expressions and gestures. Later, when Subject N's enification ended the experiments, she accepted a proposal from Miyoko to have part of her memory erased. With the caveat of being under observation, she was given some freedom and became Natsuhiko's classmate as a genius foreign girl who skipped up grades. The nickname Salyu was given to her by Mashiro after her full name, Sannomiya Louise Yui. Salyu happens to be pronounced identically to Salyu, Salyu, Salyu. A casual French salutation, used among close people to greet each other and bid farewell. Since Salyu had Salyu? Since Salyu had it still feels weird pronouncing it how it's supposed to be pronounced. And again, that's why I don't speak French. Since Salyu had trouble coming into contact with other people without arms, she liked that part about the nickname. After returning alive from the series of incidents at Labo, she was now working with Natsuhiko and the others to evade Q. Perhaps due to the influence of the other children, Salyu has begun to act like a girl her age from time to time, which always startles Natsuhiko. Which means her true personality is emerging. Not just those of the brains overlaid upon her. She obviously still possesses that knowledge, but finally put into a normal living environment, her true self is finally emerging, and she can be a 13-year-old kid again. Good. She deserves it. She deserves a pat on the head and a hug. That's Ukita and Salyu down. That's because Mashiro deserves a hug. We're going to do Mashiro next time. So that's 4 key memories and 3 new memories. Looking like past memories for Mashiro and 1 new memory. Strange, I don't remember what this memory was. There's obviously in Route Double, after Mashiro finally wakes up. This is something, has to be something between, like, the first chapter or 2 and it's mid-game route before, and then straight up childhood. So that's going to be all for this time. It's going to be Mashiro next time. Then we'll see how much time we have afterwards. Maybe we'll do Enna as well. It'll work out quite nicely. We can fit 2 people into 1 episode. Although Ukita was the exception in only having 1 new memory. Alright. That was more wholesome than I was expecting. So that's 2 out of 9 down. We know where we're going next time, so until then. I think I am going to do all the episodes. Now that I've received some confirmation that I don't have to watch all the memories all over again. I'm alright with that. Just reviewing the key points, and then reading the new memories. I'm okay with that. So, until next time, until then.